Welcome back to the cutting board. Right now, taking your lunch to work is a really big deal. It's not about the economic factor alone. It's the fact that you can actually control what you're eating. You're probably going to want to go out to eat at lunch. And you might go to a salad bar, say you're being healthy, but you're still going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time, and you're not really going to know the quality of things that you're going to get. One of the easiest things that you can do is make your lunch at home. You can use leftovers, that's the easiest way to do it, but we're going to do today a mason jar lunch. There's 3 basic rules with regards to a mason jar lunch. Rule number 1, wet at the bottom, dry at the top. That's really important. You put the wet at the top, it's going to drain through, it's going to make everything soggy, you're going to get there, you're not going to want to eat it, and it's not going to look nice. So rule number 1, wet ingredients like some of these that we have here, they're in the bottom. As you're going up the dish, you're getting drier and drier in your ingredients. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, never forget the importance of crunch. Sometimes you're going to make a salad and it's all going to be just ingredients that are squishy and they might taste good, but they're not appetizing. You need some kind of crunch so that you feel like you've really eaten a salad that's filling for your lunch. So make sure that your ingredients that you're going to use for your salad include some ingredients that have crunch. And rule number 3, of course, watch for the nutrition. Make sure that there's protein in there so that you're going to feel full when you're finished that meal, and make sure that there's enough vitamins and minerals and nutrients in there to make the meal really worthwhile. So all these things are things that you can prep already. They're already done, and all you have to do is put these things together. In the morning, you're giving yourself excuses for why you should eat out at lunch, reasons not to actually make the dish. So by having everything done and ready to go in the morning, you're just putting together the things that you need for your actual salad. The one thing that we're going to use today that you really can't prep in advance is the avocado. If you prep an avocado in advance, you're going to have a lot of browning in the avocado that you really actually don't want. So what you're going to do is, if you're going to use avocado, which we will today, you're going to actually want to prep that in advance. So we're going to take out that seed, we're going to take out our avocado, and we're going to actually cube up this avocado for use in our salad today. That's the one thing that we're going to actually prep in the morning. It's not that big of a deal, so you should be fine. Just a couple of cubes from our avocado. Now we're ready to actually put together our mason jar salad. So now that we've got our prep done, just that one thing, got all our ingredients out, we're going to look at one example that you can use for a mason jar salad that's balanced with all the rules that we talked about a moment ago. So we're going to start out with our wet ingredients. In this case, we're going to start out with beans. These are black beans. They've got a really good flavor, and they're going to give us some protein as well. Then we're going to take some of this avocado. We're going to put that in the bottom as well. And from there, I'm going to use kimchi. Now, you're going to have to be careful. You want to find a vegan kimchi because a lot of them have shrimp sauce in them and different kinds of things. But if you find a really good kimchi, you're going to get a lot of flavor from kimchi, and putting it right there on top of the beans, by the time you get down to that thing, you're going to get all that really great fermented flavor. Then on top of that, we're going to put our quinoa. Now, quinoa, as we've talked about before on this program, it's really a complete food. So we're going to go ahead and add quite a bit of that into here so that we can have a really filling meal. On top of that, we're going to put some corn, which we just thawed. It was frozen. We thawed it out. On top of that, we're going to put our arugula, and that's going to let us press it down a little bit. On top of the arugula, this is riced cauliflower. Now, the riced cauliflower is really just for texture. I mean, it has some nutritional value as well, but we put it on top of this basically because it's going to give us a really good crunch. That's the same reason that we're putting the pomegranate seeds on here, but also because they're very, very nutritious. So we got that. Now, to give us an extra kick of protein, we're going to put in a spoonful of hemp seeds. Now, again, we want to put that on top, so they're going to be a little bit of crunch. We've also got a lot of really great protein. And on top of everything, 1 lemon wedge, which we're just gonna put with skin side down on top. When we actually start eating this, we're gonna take that, squeeze it on top. That's our dressing. It's gonna come all the way down. And now we've got our first mason jar salad, fully packed with nutrition, and it's gonna fill me up for lunch. I've got another version for you, following the same principles that we talked about before. Wet on the bottom, dry on the top. Make sure that you've got some crunch elements in there. Make sure that you've looked at the nutrition to make sure there's enough protein in there to keep you full. Now, you may say this is too small for you. Fine, get a bigger mason jar. Make a bigger lunch for yourself. You want to put a little bit more in there. We're gonna use the same principles, and we're gonna start off here with the beans, just like we did with that last recipe. I really like the fact that these black beans have a lot of flavor and a lot of protein and nutrition. So I'm gonna start off with them in the bottom. I'm gonna take the avocado that we had prepared, also the same base. I just kind of like having that little bit of creaminess because by the time I get to the bottom, the little crunchy parts from the top have gone down, and I like that difference there. So we're gonna put a little bit of sauerkraut. It's a little bit different than kimchi, of course, but same principle. A lot of probiotic value to the sauerkraut. Now, I want to get my protein, and this time I'm not just going to get it from the black beans, I'm also going to get it from edamame. Edamame has a lot of protein, it has a lot of flavor, and it's going to give me just enough crunch. Now, this time we're going to use orzo, and you may have some other leftovers, you may have rice or something like that. Orzo is a rice and corn pasta. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in. Then we've got our arugula. Now, you notice I tend to use the arugula because I love the fact that arugula has a really peppery flavor. And if you notice, we're not adding any seasonings to this salad. So the fact that we can have one that already has a lot of really great flavor is perfect. So I'm gonna use that to help push down. A little bit of corn, excuse me, not corn, carrots here. Partially for color, partially for nutrition, partially for crunch. And then on top of all of this, pine nuts for crunch and nutrition, and pumpkin seeds, which are gonna give us a lot of crunch. And the pine nuts and the pumpkin seeds are gonna find their way down as we eat this dish. And same thing, we're gonna take a lemon wedge. Now with the lemon wedges, we're gonna go through, make sure that there's no actual seeds in them because we don't wanna have to deal with that. So go through, make sure there's no seeds. We're gonna put that on top and we're gonna close that off. When we're ready to eat our dish, then it's ready to go. Wet ingredients are on the bottom. We're working our way up to the drier ingredients, and we've got our lemon wedge on top. You're at work, you're gonna put this in the fridge, or if it's not that long until lunch, you'll keep it where you need to, and then you're ready to eat. Good thing I don't actually have to wait for lunch to eat this, but when you take this to work, after a couple hours, all these ingredients are gonna start to sink down, they're gonna start to marry together, and you're gonna start out eating it by taking out your lemon wedge and just squeezing it right in there. And at this point, you can mix it all up together. It's not gonna look really nice if you do that. You can put the mason lid jar back on and flip it back and forth, up and down, but you should still be able to get some of those crunchy ingredients to start off your lunch. It's quick, it's easy, and it's nutritious. Join us again on the cutting board for more great plant-based ideas.